Don't buy cheap things, kids. I look so pale. Wow. I'm wearing so much blush too. Good morning, friends. It's Tuesday, April 2nd. Yesterday was the first of the month, and welcome to a new vlog. I didn't talk to the camera yesterday. I'll be quite frank, I started my period and I was not feeling well. So all I managed to get was some footage of me in the archive, or the garment, the study collection, setting up for a collections visit that I'm running this afternoon. I'm gonna warn you that I already talked a lot in this video, so what's another voiceover? I just wanted to explain what it is that I was doing in this collection because I give no context. Basically, when we run study collections, the professor who is teaching that class sends us the call numbers for the garments that they would like to see. So I make sure to write them down, including what room they're in and what rack they are on, so it makes it easy for me to find them. And then I go into the collection and I start pulling garments. This was a setup for the next day, so I was just finding the garments and moving them to the front of the rack, so when I came back the next day, I would be able to just find them quickly. It can be a little tedious because I have to go through every garment to make sure that the call number is correct, but it's also such a privilege to get to be around so much fashion history. And now I have to put it all back. And then I came home and took a bath and went to bed. So a really thrilling day yesterday. It's a new day. I feel vastly improved and I have a bit of a busy day today. I usually say that I have an appointment in this city on Tuesdays, which is so vague, and I don't know why I don't just say it. I have therapy on Tuesdays. There's nothing to be ashamed of about that. I just don't know. I don't always feel like sharing it, and I think that that's like some internalized like ableism about like mental health. And anyways, I have therapy on Tuesdays, and I will say that like sticking with therapy through grad school has been one of the best decisions I've made, not only because like it really helped me to just like have a safe space once a week to just like get everything off of my chest while in grad school, but also because I feel like it has helped me process all of that in a way where instead of just getting the feelings and the stuff to go away so I could get work done, I have actually grown a lot as a person, and for that I am ever thankful. A lot of growth has happened in the last year and a half since I started this program. But anyways, after that I'm running a visit to the study collection, and that is that for like my obligations outside of the house. But it is April 2nd and my thesis is due, the full thing is due on April 15th. So I have 13 days left to finish my thesis and wrap it up with a pretty little bow and send it off into the ether of a Google Drive. My thesis is not done. I have finished a rough draft, but I am still working on completing the conclusion of one of my chapters, and I haven't finished adding like my images, my figures, any of that, so I desperately need to do that, and I have just been putting it off. Not surprising to anyone if you've been here before, because I also have ADHD, and once I reach like a certain level of completion in like completion percentage in a project, my brain goes good enough, when it is in fact not good enough. The rest of this week will be focusing on attempting to push through that last little bit of just a little bit more writing, getting my figures in, formatting everything, and then waiting for my advisor's feedback. I will probably have a meeting with her at some point. So hopefully the rest of the week will be a productive one. We will see about that. It's always a gamble saying that will be productive when you have ADHD, but you know what? I have my systems. I know myself, I know how to be productive, and it is time, after giving my brain plenty of rest, to get back on the wagon and just push through that last final bit of my master's thesis. Thank you guys for being here today. Let's head into the city. We are in the the study collection. We are going to set up for the study collection visit, which involves going and getting the garments that I located yesterday, putting them on a rack, transporting them to the room where we are having the study visit. And importantly, I want to point out that when you are working with collections with old garments that are not for sale, that are here for preservation purposes. Also, my hair came out really cute today. Beside the point, a couple of main points are really important that I didn't take care of yesterday because I'm new at this, and also we don't really have protocols for this collection yet, but one, you should never be wearing nail polish. So I took my nail polish off yesterday. Yes, my nails are stained yellow from wearing red nail polish. Two, you should not be wearing jewelry when you handle garments because it can catch on things. So these are going to be going off and stored in my backpack. Three, you should have your hair up. All this is to prevent things from catching on garments and damaging them, hair getting stuck in the materials of the garments. And then we are also only allowed to use pencils, which if you've visited any archive, museum, collection, you know this, ink, stains, graphite is easier to get out of and less likely to transfer onto something else. So those are the main things that I didn't address yesterday that I will be addressing today, modeling for the students who are coming in. But I have half an hour until they get here. I'm going to go procure my rolling rack, start transporting garments. I'm back, and that was so much fun. Some things, we're gonna have a talk. We're gonna have a talk, real fast talk, because the clothes are sitting outside on a rack. I need to put them away. But some things that I've come to learn about myself in the course of being in a graduate program is that I love people. I really do. I love talking to people, engaging with people, and the people who are my people, I really love to be around them. It fills my cup. It makes me feel good. I just love people. Second one is that I care a lot about education. I've cared a lot about education for a long time. I think you guys know that if you've been around for a while, advocating for community college, documenting the process, trying to make safer spaces for neurodivergent people in higher education. I just care about it. It has opened so many worlds for me. It is how I understand the world. It is where I go to figure out all the thoughts I have in my head. And the third thing is people and education come together so beautifully in fashion. I mean, fashion just touches every part of our world. Whether or not you think it does, fashion is a part of our everyday lives. And because fashion is a part of our everyday lives, it is this really beautiful, like, tool of engagement. It's like an entry point for exploring more complicated, sometimes difficult topics and issues of our world. And I think that that is so absolutely incredible. And I really enjoyed doing this collection visit, specifically because I am having the chance to engage with people who also care about fashion and get to talk about things happening in the world through this tool of fashion. It makes me so happy. Like, I don't know if you can tell. It just lights me up inside. It makes me feel like the world is good and that there is meaning to be found and that we are connected and that, yeah, all of that. So it was really good, and I'm going to remember this moment when I am not sure what I want to do next, but this was good. I gotta put all of the garments that I pulled out back on their respective racks. Then I'm going to wrap up and head back home. No work has gotten done on my thesis so far this week, but I am also very happy and very okay with that because it's been good so far. I hope I can keep doing this. The only thing is though is that I am interested in far too many things, so I will never just be doing one thing, but I could see myself working in collections at least for a little while. It's dark, it's rainy, and I had an insomnia night, so I'm very reluctant to get out of bed today. there was no hot water in the shower, so we're off to a really good start today. Let's on some makeup. This is my favorite part of doing makeup these days.
I feel like you should always remember that you have family.
I do forget that sometimes. I'll be quite frank.
You're never going to be left alone to deal with shit because we got you, right?
Yeah. So on Wednesdays, I only have one thing to do really, and that is class in the evening. I have class from 4 to 6 p.m. on Wednesdays. So what I did was I got to campus early and I sat down and decided to work on my thesis a little bit. What I've been doing with my thesis is I printed out a hard copy and I'm reading through it line by line, doing that line editing work that I've been putting off. So I'm checking for flow and sentence structure and grammar and spelling mistakes, but also trying to find the places where my argument doesn't make sense or where I need to flesh things out. And I wanted to include this clip here that is in real time to show you exactly how much time this takes. I found that this was probably the longest part of doing my thesis. The writing up my case studies, the rewrite of my literature review, all of that did not take as much time as actually carefully reading through line by line. And I'm really glad that I did this because it helped me strengthen the red thread, as my advisor calls it, of the thoughts and ideas in my thesis. I find that actually sitting down and reading it helps me find the places where that doesn't quite work, because when you're writing, at least for me, I'm really focused on what it is that I'm writing in the moment and kind of forget what the rest of my thesis was about. And when I'd had enough of that, I decided to stop, give myself a break, and I transitioned into doing some readings for my class that evening, and that's all I vlogged, so on to the next day. I'm not so sure about how my bangs look today. They're greasy and full of dry shampoo. Good morning, it's Wednesday. It had been raining for like 3 days straight by yesterday, and it was a torrential downpour yesterday. Like, you could see the sheets of rain and the wind pushing it, just like hitting the ground. It was raining sideways. Like, my pants were wet the whole day, which also made it like really difficult to vlog because anytime I pulled out my camera, the lens was immediately covered in raindrops. And also, I've been feeling pretty good lately. Like, I know that I am a bit of a sad girl, a bit of an anxious girl. Not all of the time, just most of the time. After finishing the rough draft of my thesis, I was really sad for a while and then I got over it, and I've been feeling like really good about myself. Like, I feel confident, proud of the work that I've put in. It's not done, which is unfortunate because I'm at that point in like ADHD project cycle in which I've gotten to like 80% complete, and that last 20% I'm just like, I can't, I don't want to do it, but it must be done nonetheless. I'm just waiting for feedback from my advisor. My advisor said that she would get me her feedback by the end of the weekend, but then I only have 1 week until our official deadline. So the next week is going to be a sprint. Beside the point. Yesterday though, I was an anxious mess. I don't really know why, aside from like, I've been experiencing this thing and I'm pretty sure it's stress related, where like, I'm like holding my breath in my sleep and it wakes me up. And it's usually followed up with insomnia because like that's a really uncomfortable sleeping experience, and so I get nervous that it's going to happen again as I'm falling asleep, and so I have a hard time being able to fall asleep. And that happened on Monday night into Tuesday, which meant that I didn't sleep very much on Tuesday, which meant that I woke up and I was convinced that for anybody who has medical anxiety or health anxiety, you'll get this. I was convinced that I had central sleep apnea and that I was going into heart failure. So, you know, my mom has a medical degree, so I called her. She answers the phone. The first words out of my mouth are, "Hi mom, can you tell me I'm not dying?" I am not dying. It's just stress. I find that I get myself into this like mindset that like the second I feel better, I'm like, there it is. I have like achieved peace and clarity and I will never again be anxious. And then like the next day when I have anxiety, I'm like shocked Pikachu face, like, oh, How could that happen to me? Me? No. Anyways. I feel better today. I slept really well. I have a plan of attack for my thesis. It's all gonna be fine. It's Thursday. I have to teach today, so I'm going to go into the city and work on my thesis a little bit before I have to teach. And I wanted to share some exciting news. Two things. I submitted an abstract to the Fashion Studies Network Graduate Student Symposium conference thing, and it was accepted, and I'm so excited about it. So I will be presenting my research in June. It is not my thesis research. And then second, the Art and Design History and Theory department, which is the department that my program is under at the New School, hosts an annual graduate student symposium where we get to present our research, and I submitted a different abstract for that, and it was also accepted. That is also not my thesis research, by the way. I am not presenting my thesis research. My thesis and I have a contentious relationship. She is what she is. I'm proud of her, but I want to be done with her and not think about her. That is all the news for now. I'm gonna go into the city. See you there. Hello, I know that the audio is not going to look good and the video is also not going to look good because Adobe Premiere Pro really hates my iPhone footage and I can't figure out why. But I left my camera at home on accident. I'm currently in my Thursday classroom. I just wrapped up teaching class and it was a good class. I really like teaching this week because I bring in an object that we can look at and think about and talk about, and it's always an interesting time. It's a Hawaiian shirt with World War II planes all over it. On the week that we're talking about like how we construct like identity through what we consume, and also ideas about cultural appropriation and authenticity and identity, I already said that, and cultural exchange. So that shirt is always a very interesting time in my classroom. I have no reason to stay in the city aside from it got sunny and it's suddenly really nice outside. So actually I think I might go take a walk around Union Square and then I'm gonna head home. I did get some words in on my thesis, which I'm very pleased about. Yeah, quiet day. I'm normally a lot more social today, but my friends aren't here today, so I'm on my own. And then it was Friday and I was on my way to the New Directions in Fashion Research Symposium at the Fashion Institute of Technology. One of the things that I love about FIT is all of the public programming that they do, and they often hold these research symposiums that are open to the public. All you have to do is RSVP for them online. I was here to, of course, see everything, but also specifically to see Ben Berry, the person on the screen right now, who does a lot of work in advocating for DEI in fashion education and talking about the importance of diversifying fashion education. Also open to the public was this showcase of completed looks by, I think it was the associates program in fashion design, so I got to walk through and see some really beautiful looks that came together entirely out of denim, including this Schiaparelli-esque dress, which was my personal favorite. Make sure to look up the person. And that was that for this video, so thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one where I am in a mad rush to finish my thesis.